Let's look at The Great Narrative, a brand new book out by Mr. Klaus Schwab. It's about 2 months old. This is March 2022. This book came out in early 2022. Let's take a look. After the Great Reset, you've got The Great Narrative. Let's go. The Great Narrative for a Better Future by Klaus Schwab and Thierry Malleret. Okay, of course, in The Great Reset, that book outlines a lot of the challenges that are coming up. Well, in this book, The Great Narrative, we're going to look at something a little different. This is about the story that makes up how we act. That's really the overarching message of this book. It's that stories inform how we behave as human beings, and that's the way that Mr. Klaus Schwab is seeing the world. So let's explore. Why do narratives matter? As human beings and social animals, we're storytelling creatures, and the stories we tell are the fundamental tool of communication and transmission. So whoever controls the story, whoever controls the narrative, that narrative goes viral, goes out into the world, and we all get that same world view. Social tribal creatures, we're sitting around campfires, sharing stories. Oh, hey, the Great Reset and CBDCs and digital ID and da-da-da-da. Well, now we're going to come up with some great stories that are going to inspire us to come into this brave new world together. The Great Reset, happy, go lucky, and just optimistic for the future. How do we influence the trajectory and the role that systemic connectivity, social media, and fake news play in this? What do we do next? How do we make this work? How do we make these ideas palatable so that a large majority of citizens embrace them? The magnitude of this task is head spinning. So for Mr. Klaus Schwab, it's head spinning. It really is. It's head spinning. How do we get this story into everybody's minds? We've got all these different individual experts, but we got to form a story, a basis to put that out into the world, right into your head. Don't all understand the details of economics, geopolitical information, societal changes, technological issues. We don't all understand genetic editing and CRISPR technology or artificial intelligence and being programmers and economists and lawyers, and we don't all understand how that all fits together. So what we really need to do is we're too much in our silos. Instead, we need to connect together, connect the dots between these disparate fields and put out a narrative, a fundamental process of exchanging, understanding, and evaluation takes place via stories. So don't worry about all the details and the facts that you don't understand. As long as you understand the story, that's what counts. One of the major pillars of this book is environmental changes, and the story promulgated in this book is a story that inspires us to action, inspires us to change the world. When a big idea breaks through and becomes influential, it can turn into a viral narrative. It takes off and becomes contagious, making its ways into policies as well as business and investors' decisions. We got to create viral narratives. We got to create viral narratives so that the people can make change that's going to be glorious and usher us into this great new world. Humanity has never faced an endeavor more complex, ambitious, and far-reaching than arresting, stopping the collapse of our ecosystem and stabilizing the climate. This is a given. In short, experts and scientists have never been clearer in analyzing and assessing the existential threat facing humanity. It is unequivocal. The world is burning, and we've got to do something about it. Widespread and rapid changes in the atmosphere, ocean, cryosphere. I'm living in the cryosphere right now. We now, in the depths of the Anthropocene, where humanity, the dominating force of change, must reconnect to the planet, must become stewards of the planet, and must recognize that the planet has boundaries that are non-negotiable. We face an existential crisis. Not that we're at the risk of collapsing tomorrow, but the biggest risk is that we've entered the decisive decade for humanity's future on Earth. There's no way that we can affect change without taking ESG into account, environmental social governance changes. If we do not bring this into our capitalistic system, if we do not move to stakeholder capitalism from shareholder capitalism, thank you, Mr. Klaus Schwab, then we're never going to get there. If we can't price carbon credits out, if we can't charge people for their carbon dioxide emanations, then we are screwed as a society, as a global planet. Do you not understand what I'm saying right now? Got another huge problem. What is it? Simple. People don't trust AI. It's a massive problem. We got to change the great narrative. We got to bring that out there. We got to bring that narrative out there. Here's the huge problem. In Japan, they got cute robots. Over here in the States, Canada, we got Terminator. Do you understand the problem right here? Two of the country's most famous anime series, Astro Boy and Doraemon, have been around since the 60s. and have deeply influenced people's positive connections with AI. But over here, no, we don't feel that. They're not cute little blue cats and robots who save little boys. No, instead over here, they're Terminators. They're killers. Do not understand this is a major problem. How do we actually encourage AI if you simply won't put this great soothing narrative into people's minds? You got to bring that out there. We got to change the narrative. We got to make sure people feel good about AI. And by the way, at this point, I should say that if you're interested in this content, you like it, please head over to wcfreedom.com right below, right over here, and sign up to the newsletter and make sure you don't miss a beat, because you know how the world is. Things change so quickly. Right here with synthetic biology, this is a great point. This book makes it very clear, right? The great narrative that we're already engaged in synthetic bioengineering. We're already doing this. How? Because our latest mRNA, fantastic injection. What did it do? It actually causes our bodies to create this amazing stuff, which is super awesome. And we're going to be able to do more of this, right? It's not a hyperbolic proposition to state that synthetic biology, like AI, is a sweeping force that allows us to reshape our future by modifying our cultures, societies, economics. This is incredible. A readable, writable, usable, hackable DNA information technology, changing our own DNA using CRISPR and all kinds of other stuff. This is amazing. So we are in, this is a top tier narrative. We got to get that out there. You can change yourself. You can change your genetic code. I can make myself maybe more, I want to get along better with people. Yeah, I want to take orders better. The way forward. Solutions. First, we got to turn over the dominant narrative. It's too much about individuality. I hate to say it. For centuries, if not millennia, our societies have functioned on the fact, homo homini lupus. Man is a wolf to another man. This predicate may be stronger in Western societies that have a long tradition of individualism. It's a problem. Because individualism doesn't help us. Instead, we want a heavier collective bond. You need to do stuff because it's good for society. And if you don't do things for good for society, well, then you're selfish, okay? You got to understand that if you're not protecting me by protecting you by protecting me, we're not protecting each other. And that's a serious issue. We need to get past this old school, outdated idea of individuality, and we got to bring back in collective morality. You got to think of the collective first, and if you're not, hey, I'm looking at you, all right? Yep, you're going to the gulag. Back in the old days, we saw the government as a source of all evils. It is not evil. You're just thinking about it wrong. Why? Because we elect a government in free and clear elections. At that point, they've got policy decisions to make. They've got to force companies, force in quotation marks, as written over here, force companies to adhere to ESG regulations. And if they don't, well, guess what? They're going to be in trouble, big trouble, okay? In parallel to that, as well as government support and government enforcing ESG metrics, societal pressure and rising activism. That's what we need. We need societal pressure and rising activism is going to accelerate the pace at which companies embrace stakeholder value and will force the reluctant ones to convert to the cause. So more activism is needed, okay, to get people on board. Millennials, Gen Z, acquiring greater prominence in the workforce, hammering home the truth that they have a majority stake in what the future yields, because environmental degradation, climate change, and rising inequalities will have a disproportionate impact in their lifetimes. Wow. So, youngsters forcing you, government forcing you, I think it's a good thing. Why? Because we got to save the planet. Don't you understand the narrative? You don't know the story anymore. What's wrong with you? Are you not following along? The world is burning. Well, there you go, brethren. You've seen it right here. That's a great narrative in a nutshell. Super fast, quick read through for you so that you don't have to spend your time spending time with Mr. Klaus Schwab. I kind of feel like I know his heart at this point. I kind of feel very close to the fellow. If you'd like to support this content and support us doing this over here at the War Campaign, in the culture war, that's where we started out. Now we're here in politics. Why? Because politics is downstream from culture. Believe it or not. It's amazing. Don't ask me how we got here, but we're here. Check these two books out, Vestige and BULLETMAKER. Fantastic products. Let me see if I can get that in the frame right there. Take a look. BULLETMAKER available right now. I'd love it if you'd support us. It's a great way to do that. Fantastic. That's BULLETMAKER right there. Inspiring stories for the younger generation. I love this stuff. I love comics. Take a look at that. Links in the description. Really appreciate your time here. Thank you so much. Together, we can change the narrative. Hail, brethren. H for honor, A for accountability, I for integrity, L for loyalty. And thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing.